Welcome back to the daily grind where gamers find grace. This is your spiritual checkpoint, your respawn, your reset, your get your work back on track headquarters. I'm Shaun McAfee, your host, and we have a wonderful show lined up for you this evening. Chat, so good to see you. How's the internet? It is 2 weeks in a row of great internet here at the McAfee house, and that puts a big smile on my face. Especially as we enter the final week of Advent, our long wait is almost over. Of course, for Christmas. Yes, for Jesus and the three ways that we talked about last week, right? We're going to get into that in a little bit, a spiritual checkpoint, but I want to drop this in the chat as we get rolling. Chat, answer this question. Steve, get your fingers ready too. Our guest, Steve Weidenkopf, he's waiting in he's waiting in the hot seat. Are you more excited for Christmas Mass or Christmas food? Now that might be a good question, right? Because at Christmas Mass you should be at the table of the Lord. But hey, look, I know that we are all anticipating a good family tradition dinner, whatever you've got planned. My wife, she does a big roast, she does a big London broil, and then we do lamb at Easter. So I'm looking forward to that. Of course, I'm looking forward to Christmas Mass. But you put your funniest answer, you put your most truthful answer in the chat. No judgment. We're all friends here. Put your answer there, and I'll read them in a little bit. Tonight's show is a really good one, and actually, it's an advancement for the show, really, because usually we're talking to people who, kind of more into the gaming scene and then somewhat into the, Catholic content scene, and we have one who is polar opposite of that. He is. We'll talk about his bio once we introduce him, but Steve Weidenkopf is our guest, and he is really the turning point of where I want this show to go, which is interviewing people that are, kind of, let's say, strictly in the author realm or strictly in the teaching realm and maybe have less than an interest in gaming. And that's okay. We can fill in the blanks for them. But even a general interest in having fun and shenanigans is what'll land you on this show. So my good friend, Steve, I'm looking forward to interviewing him and just getting a crosswalk on, which NHL team is better. And you guys can tell me if you agree with him or me. On that, we have a good spiritual checkpoint. We got good patch notes, which is coming up next. We got a new follower. Thank you, Wolf Doom. I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited because Doom is a Catholic game, and I'll die on that hill. And of course, every wolf should be an alpha. So we're good on that. Okay, so look, we have a really funny game at Poll Party. You got to stick through the end of the show because Poll Party is called History or Nah. And if you didn't know, Steve Weidenkopf is a historian. He knows everything, or at least we hope. So we'll test his mettle and his grit against the grain of what fun questions that we could line up on the show, and we might even have a special guest pop in there to help him. Either way, we're going to have fun, and that's what we're going to do. And there's no going back now. So let's get into spiritual patch notes. All right, Millennial says Mass. He says same to Magician. Christmas Mass. My mother-in-law doesn't cook the best. Ooh, I hope she's not watching. That's something to get you kicked out of the house up there in Green Bay. But okay, spiritual patch notes. Tonight's spiritual patch note is all about finishing strong because Advent is not just a countdown. It's a conversion arc, and arcs only matter if we actually reach the ending. The church gives us 4 weeks for a reason. Longing, of course, repentance. Yes, it is a season of penance. Watchfulness, and now readiness in this final week. This final week isn't about cramming in more devotions or being spiritually panicked or even going out there and being panicked about what you got to buy your kids or didn't buy your kids or your spouse or, maybe even your mother-in-law magician. It's about making room. Room under the tree maybe, but definitely room in your heart. Not about more noise. The patch tonight is very simple, but I will confess, to me, it's genuinely difficult, especially this time of year. Slow down. When everything else speeds up, slow down. When the calendar fills, or the inboxes explode, or the world gets louder, or maybe it seems like work is on fire, Advent asks us to move in the opposite direction. Less scrolling, more silence, fewer distractions, more deliberate prayer. Fewer background tabs open in the soul, if you like that analogy. The incarnation did not arrive with fireworks or a hype trailer. It arrived in humility, obscurity, and trust. And that's, as St. Thomas would put it, That's what God saw as fitting. If he wanted it to happen with all the tech and the media these days, he would have done that. But he chose obscurity, humility, and entrust to just a few people. God chose stillness over spectacle, a manger over a stage. Advent does not ask us to be impressive, it asks us to be available, not flawless, not finished, just open, as we've talked about in the last few weeks. The real question this week isn't, did I do Advent right? Right? This is the last week of Advent. The real question is not, did I do Advent right? But here's the real question. Is there actually space for me, for Christ to enter? Or is every corner already occupied in my life? You have to ask yourself that question this week. And there is still time to ask that question. Hopefully you have the space, even after eating that new Burger King SpongeBob meal. I just threw that in there because I had it. But really, I hope that you have made space for Christ, because he is definitely coming. He is coming in the Parousia, as we discussed last week, and he is definitely coming as a child once again liturgically, where we hit the reset button and we can start all over walking the liturgical line with him. So that's the update that we're installing tonight. Not louder faith, not busier faith, but a quieter, more receptive heart to receive Emmanuel. God is with us. And now let's move to checkpoint reflection. There, okay, I did hit the right one. Checkpoint reflection. I was going to say it went to co-op mode on me on accident, but apparently I redirected the wires. Okay, so checkpoint reflection. This will be real quick. Let's take a real checkpoint tonight, because the final stretch of Advent, this is where we often miss the most grace. Like I said, this last week seems to be, I'm almost 40 now, 39, about 15 years now as a Catholic almost, and I noticed that the last week I'm strictly kind of going into dad mode. I'm going into I gotta do things mode, execute mode. And it's kind of like entering the Triduum, like at the end of Lent. I'm trying to plan out Easter for everybody. I'm trying to think about what the family needs to do. And I don't really, there's a responsibility to be had there, and maybe there's certain sacrifices to be had, but I don't slow down as often as I should. Or at least it's like I have to have something hit me in the face, especially as a man. I have to have something hit me in the face to tell me, hey, stop. It's Triduum. But now it's, hey, stop. It's the final week of Advent, right? So Scripture slows everything down just before Christmas too. Mary is pondering. Joseph is listening. Zacharias, he's probably listening too, right? He can't talk. The world holding its breath is out there with the shepherds. Waiting is not passive here. It's actually an active thing for us to do. It's faithful endurance is waiting on the Christ child. Mary teaches us that Advent is not anxious. It's surrendered. She doesn't know every detail, but she trusts in the one who does. And we sit in this final week and ask ourselves gently, what am I still gripping too tightly? What noise am I afraid to turn off? Christ is about to enter the world again, not symbolically, but sacramentally, spiritually, and personally for us. And this pause isn't empty time, it's holy ground. So please, after this show, take a breath, relax, and enjoy this last week of Advent, because you only get one every year. And it is your last opportunity to prepare for the Christ child. So put yourself there on that little town in Bethlehem, whenever it's kind of cold, and who wouldn't give their entire life, everything that they own, to be there? Well, give what you can this week to be there. And no matter which Mass you're attending, whether it's a midnight Mass or a vigil Mass or morning Mass, be ready, because Christ is walking in and he's coming into your lives. Okay, let's go meet our guest in co-op mode. All right, welcome to Co-op Mode. That guy to my other side is Steve Weidenkopf. He is a Catholic historian, an author, speaker who specializes in helping Catholics understand history without the myths, the panic, or the sentimentality. He's also a husband, a father, an Islanders fan, which I'm not going to say we need to forgive him for, that they're a great team, and the kind of guy who can explain why history still matters and why it should actually give us hope, especially as Catholics. Steve, welcome to the Daily Grind. Did I miss anything?
Hey, Shaun, thanks for having me on the show. No, I thought that was a very good introduction there. Appreciate it very much.
Awesome, man. Okay, well, welcome. You've spent years helping Catholics understand history clearly and instead of just sentimentally. So, what's one moment in church history, just right off the bat, what's one moment in church history you think people completely misunderstand?
Oh, gee, only one?
Well,
I
I
can't
could
give a
give you a
litany of.
hint. I can
Okay.
give you a hint with the glory of the Crusades, but what's your
Yeah, I
answer?
was going to say Crusades. Yeah, I was going to say Crusades or Inquisition. That's for sure. Those two are the top five at least.
Let's jump into the Crusades. Tell us what they were and what they weren't, like we're on an elevator.
Oh, geez. So I just taught my one class on the Crusades here just this past academic year. So you want me to take 13 weeks of academic training and shove it into a 30-second elevator ride? Okay.
Maybe your boss battle started early today.
Apparently, yeah. No, so what were the Crusades? Well, in short, the elevator speech is basically that in the towards the end of the 11th century, there was significant problems in the Holy Land in what was ancient Christian territory, and so the Holy Father encouraged and motivated the warriors of Europe to take up their arms in the service of Christ and the Church, to go to the Holy Land and to liberate that territory from the influence of Islam.
Yes. Amen. And what was it not?
What was it not? Well, it was not, they were not wars of conversion. They were not wars of greed or motivated solely by greed or by greed principally even. They were not wars that were unprovoked aggression. They were defensive wars
Now
and just wars.
I'm testing you because I recently brushed up on your book, The Glory of the Crusades. And Steve, honestly, this was one of the first books I read right out of the cage whenever I became a Catholic in 2012. I think it was a couple years old at that point. But there were actually, I learned in this book, and I guess I refreshed my memory, but I relearned in this book that there were actually certain conditions that, let's say, the Vatican, that the Pope would create in order to approve or condone or sanction a crusade. What were those?
Yeah, so most Crusade historians would looking back at this time period identify four specific elements that needed to occur for an expedition, an armed expedition from Europe to the Holy Land or North Africa to be considered, quote, a crusade. The first is that, as you mentioned, the Pope has to call it, right? This was not something that was just independent secular rulers or individual warriors decided that they wanted to go and do. This was something that was sanctioned from, the top, if you will, sanctioned by the Holy Father for all of Christendom to engage in. The second element, essential element, is that those who went actually took a vow. So we call them crusaders. If you were to go back in time to the late 11th, early 12th century and see somebody walking around Europe with a red cross, on their garment, their outer garment, and go up to them and say, "Hey, that looks like a cross. Are you a crusader?" They would have looked at you like you're crazy. Like, what is this crusade word you're talking about? What is
Right.
it? That's actually crusade is a modern word, right? It's an English kind of hybrid word from a bunch of different languages. It really didn't come into utility until the 19th century. So what they called themselves was cruce signate, or though in Latin, those signed with the cross. So these were individuals who had to take a vow. They actually literally took the cross and sewed it on their garment and took a vow to God to go on this, what they termed or what they knew it to be as an armed pilgrimage to the Holy Land. So that's the second ingredient. And the third ingredient, if you will, is, and the fourth are similar, but the third is that crusaders were given certain privileges. They were granted certain temporal and spiritual privileges. The third element are temporal privileges. So, for example, they were immune from arrest by secular authorities. They didn't have to pay tolls on any roads that they traveled throughout Christendom to get to the crusade. The church promised protection of their property and their family while they were away on crusade. And then the fourth element is that spiritual privilege of the indulgence, where they were granted a plenary indulgence for participating in this armed pilgrimage.
Wow. Okay, so an armed pilgrimage. And I think that that's really where a lot of people, modern people, might run into the wall, so to speak. They say, "Well, why did they need to be armed?" And I don't think that often enough, and you do a really good job in your book. I don't think often enough we think about what times were like back then. So, could you give us just a little bit of insight on why they were armed, as a matter of practicality, or was it a matter of did they expect to draw blood from any enemies?
Yeah, so great question. So the best way to understand history, kind of any event in history, really, is to put yourself into the perspective of those who lived through that period of time first, right? That's the starting point. So it doesn't mean that, centuries removed from historical events that we can't, look at those events from our own perspective, our own, development of history, if you will. But the best way to start is to try to approach the perspective, or try to approach the event from the perspective of those who lived through it. So the medieval period is very and vastly different from, or was very different from the modern age, right? This is an age of faith. This is an age where the Catholic Church and the Catholic faith permeated society in all aspects. The liturgical calendar was the societal calendar, for example. There was no other kind of way of living or worldview, if you will. Now, does that mean that everybody who lived in the Middle Ages was a saint? No, obviously not, right? But just like our time, right? But the age was imbued with the faith, is the best way to put it. So what made the Crusades actually unique was that they were armed pilgrimages, and I stress that because if you at this time, if you went on pilgrimage, you were a warrior, you were a member of the knightly class, for example, so you had the means, you had people on your land working for you to feed you, so you had the time to train with your military weapons. From an early age, right, you were trained to wield these weapons at the service of protection of yourself, your family, and those entrusted to you in society, your region in the world in Christendom. And for you to go on pilgrimage before the Crusades, you had to leave your weapons at home. That was an act of penance on the part of this knightly class. So for them to do that was substantial, was very, very difficult, right? It was very penitential. But so along comes the Pope here, it's Pope Blessed Urban II at the end of the 11th century, and he says, no, I don't want you to leave your weapons at home on this particular crusade or this particular pilgrimage. I want you to take your weapons with you. I want you to use them at the service of Christ and the Church to liberate, specifically, the objective was to liberate the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, to free it from control of Islam. And at the time, it was Jerusalem was under the control, by the time the first Crusaders get there, Jerusalem was under the control of the Fatimid Caliphate based in Cairo. So the idea was to go liberate the Church of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, and to allow Christians to freely visit it on pilgrimage, and to allow indigenous Christians to live in peace, who were living in the Holy Land at the time as well.
Yeah. Wow. So much to cover and so little time. I wanna ask about that. I guess the Crusades, the later Crusades. So how many Crusades were they, and how far are we in history from the very last one?
Yeah, so Shaun, you probably don't recognize that you just opened up an academic, or you actually threw an academic hand grenade onto the table here, because
I think I did.
there's actually quite, or maybe you did. You recognize you did it. There's a bit of a debate, right, in the historical community and medieval and Crusade historian community as to what was and was not a crusade, and how many were there, and should we count them? Should we not count them? How do we describe these? Traditional Crusade historians say that there were 8 numbered crusades, and these were campaigns specifically directed towards Muslims in the Holy Land or North Africa. Right? That's the traditional view. There's another view that broadens the scope of crusade campaigning to be something that's more than just to the Holy Land or North Africa, even more than just to against the forces of Islam. Right? That there were crusades against pagans in the Baltic states of Europe, Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia. There were crusades against heretics in the south of France, the Albigensian Crusade, these kinds of things. So,
That's true. That's
depending on
true.
depending on how you mark it, I mean, if you take the traditional approach, then the last crusade was the last crusade of King St. Louis IX, in the late 1260s. And so that's the end of the crusading movements there. Really, most crusade historians will mark that when the last major city, the city of Acre in the Latin East, fell in 1291, that's really the end of the crusading movement. Others would say, well, no, once you get into the 15th century, in particular in the 14th and 15th century, and even into the 16th, and even later into the 17th century, you have this whole campaigns against the Ottoman Turks. And so, whether the last major crusade was the defense of the city of Vienna in the late
Right.
17th century, 1683, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and I think it's fair to call that a crusade, but they're all lopsided. Some of them I compare it to the Great Ecumenical Councils. Like some people have a limited number, and I'm like, no, we should probably be a bit more inclusive of. They'll just call them synods because it wasn't truly the universal church, but it's kind of one and a
yeah,
half, two dozen the other. But okay, so do you know Matt Swaim? You know our good buddy Matt Swaim from EWTN Radio, right? He's got the Sunrise
I've heard
Morning
the name.
Show.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yep.
probably he's probably
Yep.
interviewed you. So
Been on a
he,
show. Yep.
yep. So he was on the show a few weeks ago, and I made a slip, and I love this slip, and I'm gonna incorporate this here. I asked him. I said, "What's your favorite heresy?" Because we both had these heresies that kind of converted us. His was Donatism, and so was mine actually. And but I was just curious. Do you have a favorite crusade? Is it bad to have a favorite crusade? I mean, they're glorious, are they
No,
not?
sure. Yes. Well, they're not. Do I have a favorite crusade? I have a favorite crusader. I could say that at least. King Saint Louis the Ninth. So
Okay.
I would probably say then his first crusade, although it was an abject failure. Right. He did not succeed in what he attempted to do. In his campaign in Egypt, actually he got captured. He was in prison for a couple of months and then was finally ransomed. But then afterwards, he spent a few years in the Holy Land and acted, although he wasn't the king of Jerusalem. There was one, but he acted in de facto, basically as the king of Jerusalem, and helped to build up the Christian defenses there for a number of years before he had to go back to France. But overall, just an amazing man, a very holy and pious man who gave all right to try to restore Jerusalem into Christian hands, and unfortunately was unable to do so, but died on his second crusade, which is not my favorite, but died on his second crusade, mouthing the words "Jerusalem, Jerusalem." So it was still always on his heart and his mind at the very end of his life. So,
Yeah, I think my words whenever I die are going to be like, "Oh my gosh," or something like that. I hope that I have a holy moment, in that final preparedness. Next time you visit New Orleans, you are very welcome. I would love to go and take you to the cathedral. I've got a wonderful large expansion book on everything about him and why they built the cathedral the way that they did. It is the oldest still standing cathedral in America. That has not had to be reconstructed, the Cathedral of St. Louis the Ninth. So, anything else that we should know about the glory of the Crusades before I move on to one of your next books?
no, I mean, well, I think somebody in the chat actually says, was Baldwin as cool as people say he was? Or that I'm assuming that he means King Baldwin the Fourth, the Leper King. Yeah, Baldwin was pretty cool. He was a baller dude, and I don't know, I'm dating myself with that term probably, but
Baller, yeah, he's
no,
baller.
yeah, he's baller. You can say that now. I'm trying to pick up this lingo from the kids since I'm a grandpa now, right?
Yeah.
Um, but no, he was a very good man, very pious, great military tactician. Won a great battle against Saladin, which many people don't know or they don't focus on, especially in Ridley Scott's horrible movie Kingdom of Heaven. They don't show that. But no, he was a goodly, saintly man. Did the best that he could with the horrible leprosy that afflicted him, and the horrible politics he had to deal with in the kingdom as well. So.
Oh, am I muted? Somebody should have said something. How long have I been talking? Steve, you can hear me now, right?
I can hear you now. Yeah, I think you were gone for a bit of time there. Thought it was on my end,
I
but
thought
glad
you
you
were
can
going
hear
to
me.
say something. Okay. No, I thought you were just giving me the floor. Okay. Let me say all of that again in 10 words. Timeless. This book is amazing. Can you tell us what is different about it compared to other Catholic books?
Sure. Yeah.
Catholic
So
history
timeless.
books.
Yeah. I think time. Well, first of all, timeless is pretty expansive. It covers from Pentecost all the way to the modern age. But what I wanted to do with Timeless is to make it a more of a narrative history, right? Too many people think that history is just kind of, a boring recitation of names and dates and events instead of, an actual dramatic story. And so I try to present the history of the church in this book as a dramatic story, right? With all kinds of interesting characters and events, villains, heroes, saints, sinners, these kinds of things. And then I also attempted to, or I try to break it into bite-sized chunks, if you will. So sometimes picking up a 500-page book like that one is can be a little bit daunting for people, and they don't want to, think, oh, I can't read that much, or that's too detailed for me. But what I really attempted to do, and I hope I accomplished it, was to break history into bite-sized chunks, right? So that most of the events that are people that I cover are maybe a couple of pages, at most at length, before I break off into another subject. And although the narrative is linear, you can read a bit of the book, you can put it down, you can pick it back up like a little bit later, and you're not really having to go back and reread and figure out, well, where was I in the story. I tried to write it so that you could pick it up easily again in this digestible bites, if you will.
Yeah, I like that. I feel like whenever I'm reading Timeless, I am there looking at the event, and I know that I don't have to read another, 40 pages to understand it. It's very pithy, but also very informative. And honestly, and this is probably what I was not saying. By the way, Warboy, we love you. Thank you for that. Another subscription, another month of subscribing. I appreciate it. And thank you to the follow to Tancredo. But what I wanted to say is there's some really brutal facts that you had to bring out in this book, like Charlemagne, the time, or maybe the time around Charlemagne. I don't remember the specific events, but where there were some warring people and some tribes who just wouldn't convert. And it's not just that they wouldn't convert, but they wouldn't stop waging war against these Christian communities. And we had to, or kings had to, they made the choice to slaughter them in the tens of thousands. How did you go about bringing that out in the text of these pages?
Yeah, so great question. I mean, history is full of drama. It's full of heroes, villains. Like I said before, it's full of people exercising their free will, right? That God has given to us, either virtuously or in ways that are very unvirtuous. And so even good Christian men and women who've lived their lives mostly in service of the church, can fall. You sometimes you'll have obviously secular kings who will do things for secular purposes and not spiritual purposes. Sometimes even as you read through Timeless, you'll find stories of popes, right, who even didn't act the way that they should have, or other clergy that did not act the way that they should have acted. So, and that's, I know many people sometimes find that scandalous, which it is, obviously, but some people, will have their faith challenged with that. And I think it's actually it should be the opposite, right? That seeing people in our history, men and women who've come before us, struggling with their faith, right? Reacting negatively or unvirtuously to certain situations in their lives, yet repenting, or not repenting and seeing the consequences of that as well, is a help to us, right? In terms of trying to live our faith and recognize that even the saints, right, and the people who've come before us are not just these storybook kind of cardboard characters that are one dimensional. They're complex human beings, just like you and me. And we can learn from their spiritual struggles, their temporal struggles, and apply that to our own day and age.
Thank you for including me in the complicated human beings. I do appreciate, by the way, the being one of the complicated human beings. that you included as a blurber in the front of your book. That was a real gift, Steve. Thank you for doing that. That was
Yeah,
remarkable.
my pleasure.
And it is truly a good book. Please go check out Timeless: A History of the Catholic Church. This reads so much different than any others. And let me kind of let's go around the block, so to speak, on some other Catholic historians. So one of my favorites, but definitely verbose, and rightly so. He gives a lot of detail. Is Carroll. Warren Carroll, he's got a five-part series called The Glory of Christendom, which shares almost a similar title to your Glory of the Crusades. Can you tell us just a quick bit about Carroll and what's different about his five-part series?
Yeah, so Warren Carroll is, God rest his soul, passed away a few years ago now, or many years ago now. But he was the founder of Christendom College, which is the where I teach. I teach at the Christendom College Graduate School of Theology. So he founded our school back in 1970s, late 70s, and is was a historian, Catholic historian, Christian historian, who focused, as you mentioned, he's written many different books, or wrote many different books, but his big series is that 5-volume work on Christendom, the history of Christendom. Great work. It's very detailed. It's very dense. It
Yeah.
covers not only ecclesial but also secular history. And so if you're a history geek or nerd like Shaun and I, you love that book and you want to dive into that book. If you're not, you might find it slightly off-putting, not because of the content, but just it is really dense, very, very, really requires a lot of effort to read. So, but a great work.
Yeah, certainly a good research material, or maybe a book that you find something in something like Timeless and you say, I want to go back and read. And Timeless, by the way, let's go to the back. You have hundreds of footnotes in here. So if you're ever wanting of looking up more on a subject, that's why I would probably go to Carol. I wouldn't read Carol page to page. I would go there when I'm like, okay, I really need to learn more about why we cut 10,000 people's heads off. And just kidding. But so another great historian, God rest his soul too, is James Hitchcock. This is really a classic, I'd say. This is one you can walk into just about any Catholic bookstore, and they should have been carrying yours, but they carry Hitchcock. I'm only saying that to make you blush. But this is another really good one too, and I'd say it's very, very readable. There's Without the Dust Jacket. What sets apart Hitchcock to you?
Yeah, Hitchcock. I think Hitchcock book is very good because somewhat like Timeless, he kind of breaks his book into sort of kind of bite-sized chunks, and it's topical, right? So, if you have let's say somebody comes up to you and asks you about, well, what happened at the Second Council of Lyon, for example, right? I'm just throwing that out there. You can go to Hitchcock's book and you can just go to the index and find that and read a little blurb about what happened at the council and the main points of it and whatnot. So it's a handy reference tool as well, and but I think obviously a little bit easier to use and more user friendly, let's say, than Dr. Carroll's books
Yeah, but not
in
as
that
user
regard.
friendly as yours.
There you go. Of course.
All right, man, you've written a lot about Catholic identity in confusing times, kind of giving us that look into how life was like at the time, as I would say. How does knowing our history actually make us more hopeful instead of cynical, especially as Catholics, when the society kind of wants to shame us? They want us to live with shame about our past scandals. How do we handle that?
Yeah, well, I wrote a, glad you asked. I wrote a specific book on that called Light from Darkness. 9 times the Catholic Church was in turmoil and came out stronger than before. And that's a book where I look at these really specific times in the church's past that were quite, were periods of massive crisis, scandal, horrible things going on in the church that really shook the church to its core. But what I find, or what I found when I went back and looked at these events, and I try to illustrate this in the book, is that after each of these crises, there comes a period of time of renewal and reform and restoration. That God brings good out of bad things, right? And God can bring good out of evil, and so he takes these times of crisis, or he has in the church's past, and he brings forth great things from it: renewal, reform, restoration. And sometimes those things, those periods of reform and restore and renewal, and happened long after the people who lived through the crisis have died. And that's, I think, a great example for us, if you will, in our own day and age. That if we are struggling with certain things in the church, or there's various crises, the most recent, or the less, let's say, 50 years plus of the clerical sex abuse crisis, some corruption issues and financial issues in the church, these kinds of things, which have happened in the centuries past, but they, right, come back again, even in our own day and age. Instead of looking at these events and being, overly disheartened by them or by even saying we're not going to go to church anymore or lose our faith over these things. By knowing history, that puts it into a better perspective for us and helps us to realize that A, the church is still here after all these times of crisis, and B, not simply just that, but that B, we know that history shows us that God continues to act, the Holy Spirit continues to guide, guard, and animate the church, and so that in the future there will be times of renewal, restore, restoration. The church will come out better as a result of this period of crisis, and gives us a little bit of consolation, if you will, in the midst of horrible crisis.
Awesome. We'll get a link to that book into the chat here for everybody to go check out. So, speaking of renewal and revival and reform, you guys, your family, it has a wonderful tradition of loving hockey, just like me. And so, I have some questions for you. I never got to. I love playing hockey, love watching hockey, especially college hockey. But how important has it been for you to pass on that sense of memory and tradition and that kind of that story to your kids, especially as a historian, but definitely as a hockey dad?
Yeah, no, it's been great. I mean, hockey is kind of one of our family charisms, if you will. I mean, I have been blessed with six beautiful children, and five of my children have been able to play hockey, and I've been even more blessed to be a coach of many of those children, most of all of the children, actually, at various times in their careers. Some for all of it, some for some of it. Still coach today, and even more blessed to say that now I'm old enough that the kids that I have coached are now coming back and helping me coach. So I have two of my sons that help me coach here now
That is so
on a
cool.
current team. Coaching the younger brother. So it's really cool. And a wise coach years ago told me this. And Shaun, you'll appreciate this, right? That all roads in hockey lead to beer league or adult league hockey. Whether it just depends on how fast as a hockey player you get there, right?
Right, right.
Even NHLers will eventually play beer league or adult
Yep,
league with their buddies, right? But
yep,
after a long period of making a lot more money than some of the rest of us who didn't get to play at that level.
right.
But it all leads to that, and at the end of the day, that's the whole point of the sport, right? Is to get some exercise, to have some fun, have some camaraderie, and I found that hockey, unlike others, I mean, maybe it's true of other sports, but I think it's uniquely true of hockey, is that hockey really is the ultimate team sport. It really is, and it helps to foster community, teamwork, working with others, and working around all kinds of problems and issues as you grow as a child. And it teaches so many absolute life lessons. It's a very difficult sport to learn how to play,
Yes.
and it takes patience and hard work and effort. And all these things translate into good virtuous habits in adult life, or at least they should.
Yeah, but maybe not in the locker room.
Well, the locker room is its own kind of culture and its own little place. Yes.
It is. A hockey locker room is definitely unique. Did you ever read the Hockey Catechism?
No, I don't think I have. I know of it. Is that the one? Was that by Bishop? It's not by Bishop
It's by
Proctor or from.
Alyssa Bormes or Borms,
Oh,
and
I do know about. Yes,
yeah,
I've
I
heard
think
about
she's
that.
a
Yeah.
Minnesotan, and she wrote a really
Okay.
great book for anybody who's looking for it out there. It's a 2313 title, kind of a small publication, but really a beautiful book for those who love, especially sports, because you can make a sports analogy fit with any spiritual analogy instantly because they're so dynamic. There's a reason that Paul, I believe, did that in his letters.
Mhm.
But hockey, I agree. Next to golf, is those two are probably one and the same to me in the bucket of absolutely perfect sports objects to reflect the spiritual life in so many ways. And we could go into a rabbit hole on that. Okay, but so tell me, I'm going to ask you some questions by the way in your boss battle and in the poll party to test your knowledge of your New York Islanders. But why the Islanders? You live in Virginia now. Why the Islanders? Is your family
Yep.
from Long Island?
Yeah. No, actually, it's not. I do get that a lot. Like you're another fan, so you must be from Long Island, because there's kind of a usually small, geographically oriented fan base for the Islanders. But I actually was growing up in. So my parents are from upstate New York, so
Okay.
central New York, around Syracuse area, and at least we're living there when they married, and at one point we moved back to that area. I was born in Ohio, but we ultimately moved back to New York. Long story, even longer for you, Shaun, was that I was living in Syracuse during the 1979-1980 NHL season when the New York Islanders won their first Stanley Cup. And I'm not ashamed to admit that I jumped the bandwagon of the Islanders when I caught the hockey bug living in Central New York.
Yeah.
And I've been an Islander fan ever since. And most of my boys or most of my children are Islander fans. There's one who was born in Denver, and so he's an Avalanche fan, which they're a very good team right now. But all of them, at least I have pictures of all of them wearing an Islander jersey at one point in their life. So
Yeah, that's cool, man. In Millennial says RIT Tigers. I say that is the farm school for a lot of transfer portals as of the last few years. I don't think that they get to keep the recruiting strength that they deserve, but that's a really good college hockey program too. So for me, you asked this before the show about my. I'll talk about my hockey conversion, so to speak. So I grew up as a military brat, playing soccer, playing baseball on base, and because it was free. And then I apparently took an expletive to the coach one day, and I was trying to kind of like beat up on some players. You know, I was just, I don't know, I was a rascal. And my dad pulled me off of those teams, and he gets me into roller hockey. We're living in Hawaii at Schofield Barracks at the time. And I'm like, dude, this is going to be the best. It's something that can be just what I do, and nobody else in the family is doing. You know, that the youngest person in the family often struggles with those kinds of things. But he throws me in, and we can't really afford hockey gear. You know, we're a poor military family. But he goes to the store down in, I don't know, Honolulu, and he gets me the best mask that he can afford, and it's actually a goalie mask. And it's a Sabres mask. So whenever I was a kid, I kind of adopted the Sabres. I like that old bison look on the mask. You know, whenever they had some good NHL players back then. But two things caught my attention. I asked a friend, what team should I root for? Because there were, you know, kids talking. They're like, who's your favorite NHL team? And these are kids that are probably from those northern states. And me, I'm from Arizona. And I'm like, I don't know, who should I root for? And one of my teammates said, you should root for the Red Wings. They've won every Stanley Cup. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a no-brainer. I don't know why they even have a league if they win every single Stanley Cup, but I'll root for the Red Wings. So it only took me about 3 days and talking to my dad, who wasn't really knowledgeable in hockey, but he knew that they didn't win every single one. In order to not be a Red Wings fan and actually start hating the Red Wings. So how did I get to be a Penguins fan? Because my first hockey stick was as I had said back then, Jaromir Jagr hockey stick. No, I did not watch the NHL, didn't know how to pronounce these names from Slovakia or he's from Croatia, Slovenia, I think it is. I didn't know anything about it. So that was my guy, and I became a Pens fan through the Lemieux years and watching Jaromir. All the way up until he was like, what, 50 something in the NHL? He's still playing.
He's still playing.
Yeah, he's still playing
Yeah.
over there in Ljubljana or something like that. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. It's not glorious, but let me move on a little bit. This will be your last question, then we'll go into co-op mode or a quickfire co-op. If you could correct one Catholic historical myth that just refuses to die, and it can't be the Crusades, which one would it be and why?
Would be, oh geez, that put me on the spot here, Sean. So I would say one Catholic historical myth. So it's a myth about a Catholic historical person. How about we say that?
Okay.
So it's the myth that Queen Marie Antoinette of France
Okay.
said the phrase "Let them eat cake,"
Right.
and that she was a callous, horrible woman who hated the people of Paris and the people of France. Totally not true.
I think, speaking of the author, I think Warren Carroll diffuses that topic without any argument to be had, no rebuttal. He pulls out every source to say she was actually an honorable woman who never said that, and it was all propaganda that makes us kind of have Kirsten Dunst in those movies today to make us hate her. But yeah, that's actually a really good one. What would I do? What's one Catholic myth that I thought you were actually going to bring up Santa Claus,
Oh,
which it's in Butler. It's in Butler. Look, if it's in Butler,
yep.
it's lore.
Yeah.
Okay,
Punching
man.
areas. Yeah.
We're going to go into quickfire co-op. Okay, so Steve, you're new to the show. So this is the part of the show. This is the end of our co-op mode, but I'm going to ask you rapid fire questions. Maybe even the chat might have some questions for you guys. This guy's a brainiac. I mean, look at him. He's handsome. He plays hockey. I'll probably skate your pants off. I'm just kidding. But ask any questions you got for this man, and I'm going to go, and you're not allowed to think. I know you're a big thinker.
Okay.
But you're not allowed to think. You just got to answer. Okay, so some of these are pretty fun. Okay, so here we go. Favorite historical era to study?
Medieval period.
Okay, cool. Most underrated saint in history.
Oh, yeah. That's quick. I have to be quick on this one. Most underrated saint in history. Oh, gee, Saint Bruno.
Saint Bruno. Okay. Hang on, I can't talk. War Boy asks, who is your favorite non-Islander hockey player?
Oh, my favorite non-Islander hockey player. It's yeah, that's a good question. I would probably say, oh, geez, right off the top. So you are right, Sean. You know me well. I am a thinker. I like to think about things before I respond. But rapid fire, I'd have to say, let me say Dominic Hasek.
Okay. So older school, good goalie, like to reach out of the net a
Yep.
little bit. Okay, book you've reread more than once and probably will again.
Oh, that's again, you're killing me with these questions because I typically, that's atypical for me. I typically read a book and then I just read it and that's it. But I'll
Yeah.
give you one. It's you. This is off the board. You won't even see it coming. A Severe Mercy by Sheldon Bannock.
Okay, what's that one? Is that fiction?
No, it's nonfiction. It's the story. It's the story of his love. It's his love story, his marriage story between him and his wife Davy. It's a beautiful, beautiful book, and actually a conversion story how they both became Christian.
Okay.
Had become atheists. It's a great book.
Awesome. Maybe we can plug that into the chat in a bit. Okay, history documentary you secretly love.
History documentary that I secretly love. Oh my gosh, these are like tough questions, man. Um, History documentary that I really love. You see, you're assuming I watch history
Well,
documentaries
what would
on
be
that one.
the first thing on your Netflix continue watching screen?
I'll continue watching screen. Well, I love military history, so I watch a lot of military, like more military history, military movies, that kind of thing. Um, what I really like on Netflix is oh, I forget the name of this. It's called Barbarians, I think. It's
Ah,
about
yeah.
the period of time right with the Roman Empire and the rise of the Germanic ethnic tribes on the border there early in the first century. So it's a great show.
That's cool. Okay, Wolf Doom asks, Lord of the Rings or Chronicles of Narnia?
Lord of the Rings,
Okay, yeah, good boy. All right, coffee or tea while writing?
coffee.
That's a good question. Early mornings or late nights?
I take just to go back to the other question. I take the Ted Lasso approach to coffee. It's basically just, or to tea rather. It's just basically dirty water. But moving on.
You just put your grass in it and boil it.
That's right.
Okay, early mornings or late nights?
Early mornings. Now, at this stage of my life.
Yeah, well, even while you're a hockey dad, I'm sure it was early mornings. Cheaper ice time, huh?
Oh yes, that's
Okay,
very true. Oh, that's very true.
favorite Christmas hymn?
I saw three ships.
Nice. You want to sing it?
I saw three ships come sailing in on Christmas Day. On Christmas Day. Okay, I'm not a good singer, but
That's great. Okay, one historical feature you'd want to have figure, sorry, one historical figure you'd want to have dinner with.
Mary Tudor.
Nice. Wow, I'd be asking her questions. Okay, Millennial says favorite Christmas movie.
Die Hard.
Yeah, okay. Favorite video.
No, I'd say. Well,
We
if there's debate about whether Die Hard's a Christmas movie or not, right? So I'd say a Christmas story. But yeah,
Okay, I'm going to save this one till the end. I'm going to skip to the next one. Islanders win the cup again in your lifetime. Yes or no?
yes,
Okay. Silence or sacred music during prayer?
silence.
Good. Advent or Lent?
Advent.
Wow. Hardcover books or digital?
Oh,
So
hardcover.
there's only one answer to this one. Okay.
Yeah,
One history rabbit hole you always fall into?
indulgences.
Indulgences. Okay. And what that says, and finally, let me go back up here. Look, so we haven't covered video games, and that's everybody here's favorite topic, right? We're all just stupid nerds who like our Mario and Zelda. But have you ever played any video games in your life?
Yeah, I was an original Atari 2600 owner. So absolutely.
Did you buy ET?
I did not.
Okay.
Oh, maybe no, I did not. Yeah, I don't
This
think I
is a
did.
question I ask all of our guests. What's your earliest gaming memory?
Playing Pong.
Playing Pong. Nice.
Yeah,
Okay, that's one for the record
with the
books.
with the just with the with the little things and the ball, and I
Did you
mean
have
really
the
old
thing where
school.
you put
So
the thing on your TV, like the like the I think it was like a transparent little film on your TV, and it could be like two hockey goals or two soccer goals. Did you have that? Or was it
yeah,
just
I don't know if you put it well. Yeah, I don't remember being any kind of thing, transparency thing you put on the TV. It was a console, right? You plugged it in,
right?
and it came up on your TV, and then you had the little controllers that kind of had the wheel on the top, and you move that back and forth, and that's how you moved your
Right.
stick up and down to hit the ball. Yeah,
Right. Yeah, you got the potentiometer controller there. Okay, last one. One word of hope one word you hope people will associate with the church when they study history.
joy.
Joy. Great answer. Okay. And that's Steve Weidenkopf. I'm going to let you have the last word before we prepare to go into your boss battle. What would you like to tell everybody? Where can they find you and promote your books a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you go on Amazon or to best good place is to go to CatholicAnswers.com, shop.catholic.com. They carry all the books that I published, even the ones that I haven't published through them. And I've also written quite a number of articles over the last decade or so, frankly, for their online magazine. And you can find all the on various topics of church history, and you can find all of those there available for free. So I encourage everybody to go and check it out there.
All right, man. Well, we're going to get your links loaded up in the chat one more time, and we're going to go into your boss battle. Are you ready for this? It's pretty scary.
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. All right, here is your boss battle. Now, I'm waiting for something to happen here in the Zoom chat that I didn't tell you about. Somebody needs to join. But so here's the way it works is you've got this fire all around you. You're on the main stage and you've got these batteries. This is your handheld console. You need to keep your batteries running. You cannot gain batteries unless the chat donates with their bits or with their subscriptions to bless you, and they have to mark it blessed. They can also take those batteries away from you by damning you through those donations. Okay, it doesn't get too scary, but sometimes people like just hit payday and they'll be like, okay, I'm just gonna have fun with this guy. But the point is keep your batteries on. You've got 15 questions. Somebody is supposed to join the chat. Where are you? Oh, do we have him? Okay, Max.
I'm here.
Max, hey, do you recognize this voice?
I think
Hey,
so.
Max.
Yeah.
Okay,
What's up,
cool.
Pops? Surprise.
That's right. Hey.
Okay, so welcome to the show, Maximilian. Max, why don't you introduce yourself for folks?
Yeah. My name is Maximilian. I'm the eldest son of Steve, fairly recent graduate of Christendom College back in 2021, and newer gamer. So here to hopefully help out the old man with some of the questions here.
All right, man, don't give yourself too much brain rot, okay?
I'll do my best.
Okay, so this one's called Father-Son Gauntlet. Steve, surprise, you're not fighting alone tonight, and your son is teaming up with you against my trivia questions. Chat, you're welcome to try. You know the rules, bless the bits or damn the bits. Let's just wish Steve the best, okay? So you guys can tag team these together. I think you'll find a few of them easy. I think one of you will have to lean on the other to answer. Okay, you both ready? Okay, here we go. Question 1. Which council officially defined the canon scripture in the late 4th century? Now, there's 2. You can name one of them.
Ooh, I know this one, Max. Do you know it? You want me to go ahead and say it, or?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna lean heavily on you for this one.
Okay.
He wasn't paying attention in college.
That's right. The Council of Hippo.
Yeah, there you go. Would have been Hippo or Carthage, and they kind of both repeated the same. So, all right, good. You got that. No batteries lost. Number 2? What was the code name for the Allied invasion of Normandy? Let's see if your son knows this one.
Oh, I think Max should know this.
Oh, Operation Overlord?
Yeah, very good. Eisenhower. Okay, good. Okay, no batteries lost. Easy ones. This one, maybe, I know Dad will know this one. I'll be surprised if Son knows this one. Which New York Islanders dynasty completed their 4th straight Stanley Cup? It would be the year. Which year
Max
did they?
knows this. I'm going to leave this to Max. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 1983. Yeah, the one that left
Boom! He did it.
1983.
Dad is so proud
Yep.
right now. Good. Having that hockey knowledge on lock. All right. Question 4. What Catholic saint is known as the patron of historians?
Oh, I should know
Ooh,
this one.
that's a tough. The patron saint of a story. I can think of. Wow, that's a good one.
Now, do you need a hint? Either of you need a hint?
Yeah, give me a hint. Yeah, give me
Okay,
a hint.
so he is a saint, but he's also known as the Venerable.
Oh, I know that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bede.
Bede. There you go. All right, he didn't invent the rosary. That's my dad joke for you. Okay.
That's a good one.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. 5. Which military leader famously crossed the Rubicon, changing history forever?
You know this, Max? You're gonna get it.
Well, I'm gonna lean on you on this one.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank here a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's the man himself, Caesar.
Yep, Julius
Julius.
Caesar. He did it in Ravenna. Yep. I've seen where he crossed, and it's not that wide. He actually used to be like the size of the Mississippi, and it was a big deal. And now it's like you could throw a rock across it. So yeah, times change. So do landscapes. Number 6. What video game console first introduced to the world Parappa the Rapper?
Oh,
Parappa the Rapper. Do you guys remember this game?
Parappa the Rat. I don't. I don't know this at all. Max, do you have any idea?
Hey guys, you can phone a friend. There's some people in chat who might want to help you.
Yeah, we're gonna need the chat here. So the Millennial Catholic, I think, answers. Has an answer. PS1.
Yeah.
What do you think, Max? Is that right?
I'll lean on that. Yeah, I have no idea on this one.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds like some Atari nonsense. TC says, no, you shut your mouth. So this was TC's good. So yeah, it was PS1. I'm going to take the battery away though, because, well, just because I'm a spoiler. I'm a spoiler. So Parappa the Rapper, to have like a beat-based game was very novel up until we had Dance Dance Revolution, and now we've got like a bunch of different type of beat. What do they call them? Like beat dungeon games. But this was the first one where you actually had to tap commands in order to keep Parappa rapping, which he was driving cars and picking up people like a taxi. Kind of a cool game. Never owned a PlayStation, but I definitely know the game from the commercials that played nonstop in the 90s. Okay. Question number 7. Which medieval military order combined monastic life with knighthood?
Oh, well, there's a couple there. I mean,
There are actually. This is a poorly worded question.
yeah.
There's one in particular.
You're probably thinking of the Knights Templar.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Steve, do you belong to any organizations or third orders or?
I mean, I am in a Knight of the Question Order of the Holy Sepulchre of Jerusalem.
There you go.
So it's a pontifically recognized group that mostly focuses on charity towards Christians in the Holy Land currently today. So.
Awesome, man. Good. Okay. Question number 8. Who was the Islanders' legendary goalie during their dynasty years?
Oh yeah, I know this, but I'll let Max ask. Yeah, no, he knows it too.
Yeah, battling Billy Smith.
Hey, dude, what a cool dude. All right, man. I hope my sons turn out this good. I had to get in an argument with my kid today over swinging sticks at a tree. Like, I don't know. I don't know if you had to do that with yours, but okay. Now, let me digress. Number 9. What Cold War era defense system proposal was nicknamed Star Wars? This is kind of famous.
Ooh.
Yep, I know this. It's from the Reagan times.
Yeah.
It's the strategic detent. Was it was SDI, right? Strategic Deterrence Initiative or something like that.
SDI, Strategic Defense Initiative. Yeah. And
Defense
it kind of
Initiative,
wasn't what they broadcast it to be, but that tech does exist today. That's the coveted quote unquote golden dome kind of idea. We shoot down missiles real time. Anyways, yeah, it was pretty cool. And I think a few movies came out around then that kind of took off on Reagan's comments there. A couple of people cashed in on that. Anyways, okay. No batteries lost for that one. Yeah, you got that one right. Man, you guys are rolling. We're on question 10. Which video game popularized the first-person shooter genre on PC in the early 90s? There's probably two answers here, but we actually
I'm going
talked
with you,
about
Max, on
this
this
one
one.
earlier.
I was about to say, yeah, didn't we talk? I believe you mentioned this earlier. Is it Doom?
It's Doom. Yeah, the original Demon
Nice.
Crusader. I think they used to, I hate to say it on the stream, but they used to blame like shootings and stuff on kids who played Doom. But like anybody who plays Doom knows that, hey, he's actually defeating demons. Yes, it's probably gory. But, anyways, defeating demons is a gory business, and I'll stand by that. All right. Number 11. Which church father is famous for writing the City of God after the sack of Rome? Let's give this one to Max. You better know this.
Yeah, let's go, Max. You know this.
Oh, the City of God, Saint Augustine.
There you go. And thank you for saying his
Right?
name correctly. I was
Absolutely.
going to take a battery away if you didn't.
Oh, Augustine.
Yeah, I've got a son named
Augustine.
Augustine, and we call him Augie. But anytime anybody says Augustine, I'm like, no, he is not English. And I sigh. Okay,
And better for it. That's right.
Yes, exactly. Number 12. Which war introduced the use of aircraft carriers as a dominant naval force? This might be a trick question.
Yeah, that's what war? It's the Second World War.
You going to go with the Second World War?
As a dominant, yeah, I would.
Awesome. Good. Because anybody who studies naval history knows that we were launching, the Japanese are actually the innovators of this, launching aircraft from moving vessels in World War One. Actually, as early as 1914. But in World War II, yes, of course, the attack on Pearl Harbor, the Battle of Midway, and so forth became a big feature. Still is a major feature in deterrence today. Okay, number 13. What 80s? Can you guys hear my kids?
Yes, it's
Yes.
great background noise. Love it.
Yeah.
Can you guys do something about the kids? Oh, well, it's probably not going to end. I don't know if anybody's on the other side of their doors. Okay, what 1980s arcade game made competitive high score chasing a cultural phenomenon? You might know this one, Dad.
Oh, gee, great. So we did it again. What is it? What 1980s arcade
What
game?
1980s arcade game made competitive high score chasing a cultural phenomenon? If you want a hint, I'll give you one.
Yes, please.
Ooh.
Okay, it might have the word fever at the end of the catchy jingle.
Oh, geez. I'm a child of the 80s, so I'm disappointed in myself right now. I can't remember this.
One look in chat and they
Well,
saved you.
Carpe Diem Frank says Pac-Man. There you go, Pac-Man. There you go.
Pac-Man fever. There you go. Okay.
Pac-Man
I'm
fever,
going to
all
go easy on you. You don't have to lose a battery. You're doing
Oh,
great anyways.
nice.
You only got 2 more questions. Which Islander holds the franchise record for most career points?
Ooh, that's a good question. What do you think,
Career
Max?
points
I
with
think
the
you should know this.
Islanders or in total?
Which Islander holds the franchise record for most
Franchise
career
record.
points?
Yeah. You know who this is.
Yeah. The great Brian Trottier,
Yeah, number 19.
number 19. Yeah.
I've got a different answer. I've got Mike Bossy.
Oh,
Ooh, are you
franchise
thinking
points?
or
No,
goals?
that can't be true. I can't think that to be true because Bossy only played 10 years.
Hey, a lot of people
Trottier
play
was
10
there
years.
for a long time.
Okay.
Well, no, he put up a lot of goals. He owns the goal record.
We got to get a tiebreaker. Millennial, you want to Google
points.
this in the meantime? Which Islander
Yeah,
holds the franchise record for most career points?
Career points. Yeah.
He's gonna Google that, and we'll see. I will hold a dunce cap over myself for 45 seconds if I come back as incorrect. My research might have been flawed. Okay, final boss question: which Catholic feast celebrates Christ entering human history in humility rather than in power?
Oh, that's the upcoming feast, if you will. The Incarnation.
The Incarnation, which is Christmas. Merry Christmas! All right, what did you get? What did you get, Max, for for Christmas?
Ooh, on the spot. What did I get for my dad, or what did he get for me?
What did he get for you? I'm just kidding. You're not allowed to know.
Yeah, it's not too early. We got a week.
Yeah. Did you let your kids open one present on
Nope.
Christmas Eve?
Nope, we don't do that.
Okay.
Christmas.
All-time goal leaders: Mike Bossy, 573 all-time points leader. Okay, Trottier. Okay. Well,
There you go.
hey, when you're in the hundreds, you're definitely wrong on points on any of these clubs. So, okay. Battery,
So,
back to you. We started with 10, you ended with 10 because I didn't do my research.
excellent. Good job. Well, Max, thanks for
Bravo!
helping.
Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Max, you want to stick around for poll party?
Sure, definitely.
Here we
Let's do it.
go. Here we go. What's in the bottle, Steve?
I'm not going to tell you that.
Eggnog. Okay.
It's just
Poll
water,
party.
yeah.
Chat. Get your fingers ready. Get your keyboards out. You too, Max. You too, Steve. This is poll party time. Now, here's how it's going to work. This one's called History or Nah. I'm going to read a wild claim from Catholic history, and you decide if it's real history with hashtag history, vote hashtag history, or absolutely not with hashtag nah, NAH. Okay? Our guest, the illustrious Steve Weidenkopf. Do you like that I pronounce your name correctly, by the way?
Yeah, the German pronunciation is pretty dope. Yeah, I like it.
Weidenkopf. Steiner. Okay, he will provide the correct answer. Hopefully, maybe it's just like that last one, and I've actually got it wrong. But I think I've got the right ones on this one. And we can use you, Max, for some humor or some satirical wit, or if you want to answer the questions too, you can. Okay.
Right on.
Okay, my buddy is going to start the poll. Let's get it up there. Here we go. 60 seconds on the clock, round one. There was a medieval pope who was put on trial after he died. Is it history, hashtag history, or fake history, hashtag nah? Was there a pope who was put on trial after he died? This one sounds really dumb. Why would somebody be on trial after they died? After they're dead. Dude, nobody is voting for nah. I think there's actually going to be a crazy reveal here that it's actually fake history. I'm trying to sway votes. I need your help. This is actually a rather famous story. Do you know which pope it was?
I do. Yeah, you're asking me, Shaun, or
Yes, sir.
yeah, Pope Formosus.
Okay. Why did he get put on trial after he was dead?
Long story, but short version of it is that there were three different men claiming who wanted to be nominated and crowned as Holy Roman Emperor. This is when the popes did that back in the 9th century, and he kept switching sides between the three. And at the end of the day, he ended up making all of them mad. And one of them got so mad after he had died, he marched his army into Rome and made his successor dig up this guy's dead body and put it on trial. It's known as the Synod of the Corpse.
Yeah, the cadaver synod. Okay, great. Round two. Here we go. Reset the poll. A Catholic saint once punched a heretic in the face during a heated argument. Is this Catholic history or nah? This one might be a matter of opinion, but if I got to bust out the books on this one, I will. I'm going to say, I almost type hashtag heresy. Hashtag,
Hashtag heresy.
I'm going to go hashtag history. Yeah, so my favorite heresy was do you have a favorite heresy? Steve?
Me?
Yeah.
I do. Yeah. Protestantism.
All of it.
All of it.
Yeah, sola scriptura, name it, sola fide. Yeah.
Sola fide. Yeah.
Okay, so we got one vote for nah, Warboy. Okay, Warboy. Warboy. Warboy's going to actually have to defend this one. I want to hear why you don't think it is. And you've probably been reading too much Stephen Gridanis or something. Okay, the poll ended. Go ahead, Warboy. Tell us why it didn't happen.
I mean, it didn't happen. I mean, I don't think St. Nicholas really had that good of a right cross. I think that maybe a lot of people think he did. But yeah, I don't think there's really any substantial proof. I guess during the council, what was it? Arianism, right? So Nicaea.
Yep.
I think, or my bombing there.
It's Nicaea. Yeah.
No, you're right.
Yeah. Butler says that he gave him a slap. And he was recalcitrant upon correction and gave him a slap. And it is a famous tale. Do we know if it really happened? We don't know. What he probably did is he probably gave him a harsh rebuke, but we don't know if that was that. But hey, we have sacred art that says he slapped him, so that is as good as photo evidence for me. All right, round three. Let's get the new clock on there. The Vatican once banned forks because they were seen as a sinful luxury. Is this history or nah? This one's tough. I got so many. I got this. This one could have gone on forever. Steve, you're going to have to come back.
Okay,
We got so
absolutely.
many
Yeah.
fun little Catholic history things on here. I'm going to go with, I mean, I know the answer, so I'm going to throw you guys off. I'm going to go with nah. Oh, boy. Okay, do you either of you know the answer to this?
I would say not, because maybe I would argue that maybe they did ban forks. I don't know this for a fact. Maybe they did ban it, but maybe not because it was a luxury. I have another reason why I think they may have banned it. But go ahead.
All right, go ahead and tell us what you think.
Oh, why whether it's history or not?
Everybody says nah.
Yeah,
You
I'd say
tell
no.
us what you think.
I think it's not. I think that even if it is historically true, I have never heard this, but if it is, and they banned forks, I don't think it's because it was a simple luxury, but I would rather posit that I thought actually forks were introduced in Spain during the time of the Islamic occupation there in Spain. And so maybe that's why forks were ultimately banned, because it was seen as a cultural, uh, you know, item from the Islamic world.
Yes, yes. So that's conclusive with what I've read. Also, it kind of it's a pitchfork, famous with of course writers like Dante, showing the devil as a herder, so to speak, of folks into the gullet of the great consumer. There is a funny Reddit article, if you can call those articles. It says, "Why has the Christian position on forks changed?" And that's where I got
Oh,
this
geez.
one from. And it's actually a long explanation of how we got it. And you're exactly right. So it is true history. The church was not in favor of this specific utensil. Whether it was a luxury item or not, that's here or there, but definitely they were not in favor of it up until like the Renaissance period, which is pretty wild. So go figure. But they were definitely weren't eating with chopsticks, so maybe they were just stabbing it with a two-pronged fork. I don't know. All right, there's some history for you. Let's get the new vote on the board. Round four. A pope declared cats agents of Satan. Is that real history or nah? Agents of Satan. Did the Pope try to condemn cats? Was he a dog pope? I wonder if there was a dog pope. Do we have any popes who had like pets like that? I don't. I don't know that I read that in any pope
Yeah.
biographies. I'm not sure that they can
Well,
have.
Pope, all the popes named Felix were probably lovers of cats, right? But
Yeah,
that's
anti-popes
my
named
dad. That's my
Felix
dad
too.
joke for the day. Yeah,
That's really
yeah. So
good. All right, magician says nah. Cynic says nah. Warboy says history. Cats or dogs? Do you guys have a? Are you guys a dog family?
we are not an animal family at all.
Yeah,
So
that's pretty much us. We have
yeah.
ducks. We have ducks, but I had
Okay.
to. I tore down. I cut down three of them. I slew them about 2 weeks ago, and did that with my son. So that was cool. We got a little. We only have 2 acres, but we got some farm animals. All right, poll ended. We got it split right down the middle. So this is fake history. Medieval propaganda got weird, but not that weird. God's creation. The church probably wouldn't say it. Okay, round five. Let's start that clock again. There's a Catholic feast day celebrating a military victory won strictly by praying the rosary. Is there a Catholic feast day celebrated for a military victory won by praying the rosary? This one should be famous in the hearts of many. Or not famous? Did I just give away the answer? Oh no. I only learned last week, Steve, after the White House put out the message on the Immaculate Conception, that Andrew Jackson here in New Orleans, my archdiocese, attributed the victory of the Battle of New Orleans, which was actually after the War of 1812 had officially ended. People don't know that. Um, had attributed it to Our Lady, which was a Lady of the Immaculate Conception, which is really interesting. It was a late December, late January, early January war or battle. Sorry. Super interesting. Why would you fight a battle in the War of 1812 after it was ended? Trivia for anybody in the chat who wants to answer that. Okay, the poll ended. Everybody says history. We only had 3 voters, which means that people might not have been sure. Steve, you want to take this one?
Yeah, this is absolutely true. This is history. This is the October 7th, the Feast of Our Lady of the Rosary, because of the Battle of the Ponton, 1571.
Amen. Amen. And Dominic's feast is about 2 days before that, so everything's happening in August around the Rosary. It's really cool. All right. Round 6. Monks invented energy drinks in the Middle Ages. Is it true? Is it history or nah? This one's funny. What do you think, Max? Is it true that monks invented energy drinks during the Middle Ages?
Ooh, I'm actually very unsure. I might have to go with history, just because I think that's something that, to use a phrase earlier that was used, but something baller that monks would do would be to invent energy drinks.
Yeah. Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll see where everybody's coming out. Any comments, Steve?
Well, if you define energy drinks as fantastic wine and spiritual libations, then I would say yes, history.
I think those are diuretics.
Oh, oh well.
Okay, the poll ended. Of course, it's nah. You know, those coffees, those monks might have liked the Red Bull, but they probably love their winter hours a lot better. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, all the monks of that era operate on the lunar calendar, like a lot of Benedictines do today. So they were actually sleeping most of the time. So kind of cool stuff there. All right, but no energy drinks, and I'm not even sure they had coffee until the Pope actually approved it. That should be on the next one. The Pope approved coffee for the West. All right, question number 7. A saint survived being shot, stabbed, poisoned, and thrown into a river. This doesn't sound so far-fetched whenever you know the story of some of these martyrdoms, but was there a single saint that had survived being shot, stabbed, poisoned, and thrown into a river? History or not? Max.
Ooh, I was leaning towards history. I want to say while researching the North American martyrs that I heard something like this, where a French priest was shot and stabbed and then thrown into the Mississippi. I'm not sure if he was poisoned, but I believe I had read something along those lines during that time.
Yeah, those early martyrdoms here in our own soil here were pretty graphic, and there were some miracles that came from those. Okay, poll ended. Steve, what do you think? Everybody says
Well, I
history,
have to
but
confess
minus
to that.
one.
Yeah, I mean, I have to confess that when you first put this question up, I immediately thought of Rasputin because those are the things that happened to him, and he was certainly no saint. Um, but I would say history nonetheless. I'm sure there's a saint that sadly had all these things done to him.
Oh
Or
yeah, there's probably more than one. Here we're talking about Saint John the Apostle had to be removed to the Isle of Patmos after they really couldn't kill him, which is why we have a couple letters from him and the Revelation. So there we go. All right, number 8. The church once debated whether humans had souls. The church once debated whether humans had souls. History or nah? This is a touchy one. Magician says nah. I said nah. Let's see. We like our surprises though. Maybe we had to figure that one out. I like to think that we had it there from the beginning. What do you think, Max?
Ooh, I'm going history on this one. I don't know. There's something about it. Maybe debated not whether humans had souls, but maybe debated the definition of a soul more so. But
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure.
I gave you plenty of room to make a redhead joke.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. That was me making the redhead joke and brushing it off on you. Millennial says I'm not sure Catholic has one. Okay, okay. Poll ended. We're pretty much split right down the middle. Steve, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna say nah on this. I agree with Max. I think there was I know definitely during the time of the discovery of the New World, the church did debate about whether certain new indigenous peoples could be enslaved or not because they weren't Christian. But that's a totally different question than the one you posed here.
Yeah, yeah, there are plenty of people who still act surprised by this, but the church has never debated in the context of whether a human has a soul. The condition of the soul, of course, things like original sin, putting definitions on the status of souls and that kind of thing. Yes, but no, it belongs to nearly every culture in the world, almost since time immemorial, that there is something in us better than our flesh. So that's cool. Sorry, Max, I had to call you out on that one. I'll give you an easy one next, okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, here's number 9. I think you're going to like this one. Bells were baptized and even given godparents. Is this crazy history? Is that nah, or is this really true? Did the church condone bells being baptized and being given godparents? Nobody is going to vote on this one. Okay, Max, you're on the spot again. What do you think?
Ooh. Well, do bells have souls?
Oh, do you baptize things that only have souls?
I mean, maybe you bless things.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know.
All right. Steve?
Yeah, this is nah.
Okay. We're
That's
gonna
what I'm gonna
see.
say.
We're gonna see. All right, might have like 15 seconds left or more. Why would it be nah?
Well, bells are not they're not the union of the body and the soul, so therefore they don't need to be baptized.
Okay, so this is a tricky one. The answer is yes, it is history. In
Oh,
in the Roman what is it called? I'm looking at it now. In the Roman ritual, the old book from that was completed in the 60s, before we had the revisions to a lot of the broken out liturgy books now. In the Roman ritual, the after a bell is cast and is prepared for inclusion into like a church steeple or something, they were baptized, and that is the word that the ritual used, because it was an immersion in holy water. This might have had something to do with the curing process, but it was definitely the way that it was described. Now, do we baptize them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, and put it in the calendar? No, but it was even given godparents. Isn't this just strange? This is strange Catholic history. And some people still today, the Roman ritual is still alive and well. Priests and deacons can still go in there and use these rites. So you can baptize your bells, guys. Have fun. All right, we all learned something today. Not saying I know more, I'm just saying I know obscure facts. Okay, round 10. A pope excommunicated a swarm of locusts. That one made me cough, even just the thought of bugs. All right, well, I got to read some of the comments here. Doesn't ring a bell. If this is true, never tell the Protestants. Oh, it definitely was true. Doesn't ring a bell. Oh, cynic. It's the easy things that make me laugh, man. Okay, is it true that a pope excommunicated a swarm of locusts? We'll go in reverse order now. Steve, what do you say?
I'm gonna say no on this one as well.
Yeah, logic would seem to conclude that this is just ridiculous, right? Unless Sean pulled another quick one. What do you say, Max?
I have to go lean here with the father and say nah.
You called your father by his first name earlier, and I almost reached through the microphone to
Oh no, did
to
I?
discipline you. No. Okay,
It's all
poll
good.
ended. Everybody says nah. Yeah, of course it's not. It's honestly understandable. I would probably excommunicate them too. But just like the bells, like why baptize them? Why excommunicate them? They're not part of the body of Christ. So that's cool. Okay, Catholic history undefeated, Steve.
Absolutely undefeated.
Undefeated. Okay, man. Well, thank you, Steve. That's it. That's it for Pool Party, and this is where we say goodbye to you. I want to say first of all, before I let you take the floor, thank you so much for being on this show. It is a little different. It's definitely non-traditional. It's fun, and we learned a lot, and especially about the Crusades. And I would really love to have you on again in the future. And again, thank you. I know it's kind of late there. So you can go and tell your wife that I was the one holding you up, and I'll send her one of my books. How about that? You can use it as kindling this year.
No, that'll be great. That's awesome. Thanks for the gift. Yeah, no, appreciate it, Shaun, so much for having me on the show here, and definitely for inviting Max to come along as well. That was a nice treat, and just like I said earlier, it's a blessing to be able to coach hockey with my boys now. I've been able to do that in my life. Now I can say I've been on the same show with Max. We've been interviewed together, so that's also fantastic. But appreciate your ministry, your community here, and I hope people go out and learn more about Catholic history and drink some fantastic wine along the way as well, and enjoy the great
Ah,
game of hockey as
yeah.
well.
We miss talking about wine. We could do that for hours. Well, maybe I'll be in Virginia soon, and we'll both be sipping wine, and you'll be teaching my kids how to skate. So how about that?
That'll be fantastic. Looking forward to it.
All right, Steve Weidenkopf, get his books. Please put them in the chat, Andy. And you've been a wonderful guest. Thank you once more. I said that would be the last thing you said, and you would have the last word, but I got the last word there. Okay, man. Thanks. We're gonna move on to the grind list and say goodbye to our guest. And thanks also to Max. I'll see you in the Discord. Bye bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
All right, before we wrap up, here's the grind list for a final week of Advent. One intentional silence each day, even if it's just 5 minutes. I think it was Steve. Yes, it was Steve before the show who was telling me what one of the saints, King, how would you say it? King Saint Louis, Louis the Ninth. He would actually have a penance each Friday of not laughing. Isn't that interesting? I guess he was a jovial character and enjoyed a good chuckle. And he took one Friday, every Friday, and did not laugh on that day. Isn't that interesting? Okay. So I encourage you, though, in this last week of Advent, I was beating the horse earlier, to be intentionally silent just a little bit on each day this week, even just for 5 minutes. Reach for one act of mercy that costs you something, and one honest prayer asking Christ to come down to you where you least expect him. Drop your own Advent challenges into the chat if you'd like. I'm going to go over a couple of the video games that I've been playing recently. This one, Wario World, I think I brought this out last time on the show. So, funny story. This is an old GameCube game. Yes, I still play the old stuff, and I stream it for you guys sometimes on Wednesdays. So this was a hard copy game, and I had played it last Wednesday, and then immediately, like within the night, Nintendo decided to put it on their virtual console. And I was like, I'm 4 hours in, and I'm sorry to be so stubborn, but I'm going to stick with the old format. I'm not going to replay those 4 hours just to convenience myself on the Switch 2, although that would be really cool. Otherwise, I'm playing Battlefield 6, which I'm about to do in about 3 minutes after this show ends. And I'll be praying for you guys this week. I'm going hunting tomorrow. I'm going solo. Unfortunately, my kids had something with choir, so they can't come, but pray that I get a deer. If you didn't know, the stag is an image of Christ. So maybe I can bring an image of Christ home to my family and we can eat some dinner for a few weeks. I'm going to take time to read a couple comments. Who do we think will win the cup this year? I'm sorry. That was strange. I think the Panthers might pull out a three-peat. They have such a surge in the late part of the year that I don't think they can even be stopped, and their roster hasn't stopped being full of stars, and trade deadlines are going to come, and of course they're going to beef it up. I think they're going for a three-peat. We'll see how far they can get. GameCube undefeated. Rough, to be honest. My back has not been doing well. Hope the sick day I took today with icing and be a long bath with heat helped. Okay, dude, I hope that your back feels better too. There's nothing worse than that, especially an athlete like you. And K-Max, I'll be seeing you in about 3 weeks, huh? Send some venison up to Wisconsin if you get a deer. I'll be taking a picture for you guys, man. Maybe I even just turn on my stream and I just talk with you guys while I'm sitting in the blind. Anyways, that was a really fun show. I want to give him another silent shout out as a thanks to Steve Weidenkopf. Get his books. He is a tremendous writer. If you hate everything that I do, you'll love everything that he does. He is extremely gifted, down to earth, and he presents all of the history of the Catholic Church in an extremely meaningful and marvelous way. Don't miss his books. This is the kind of work that you're like, why didn't I find this sooner? So go find that. Otherwise, I wish you guys a very Merry Christmas. This is the last show until we get back from the New Year's break, when I think we'll be seeing a few people over at my house for Game Week as we get into our 14th show. So thank you, everybody, for supporting the show. If you support the show financially through your very generous donated gifts, your subscriptions, you will be featured in the end credits right about now. God bless and good night. If you want to play Battlefield 6, get in the Discord now. Good night. Oh.